I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is a regular meeting that is noticed for today. Since the Recreation Commission was just reinstated and does not have a chairperson yet, I will be leading the meeting up until a chairperson is selected. And next, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And the flag is right behind you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll move on to roll call.
Commissioner Yen is not here. Commissioner Wu.
Here.
Commissioner Sai.
Here.
Commissioner Tam. And Commissioner Solon.
Here.
Perfect.
The agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting at the following locations: City Hall, the Kroll Public Library, and the Stoneman Building. The agenda is also posted on the city's website. The city welcomes public input. At this time, the public may address the Recreation Commission on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the Recreation Commission may not discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, are able to hear all speakers clearly, please speak directly into the microphone. I would now like to ask Management Analyst Shiganaga to explain how public comment will work.
Okay, for each item on the agenda, there will be time for public comment. We will accept comments in 3 ways. 1, we will take in-person comments for each item. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to me if you wish to speak on an item. 2, we will then ask for comments from our Zoom participants. When we ask for public comments via Zoom, there are 2 ways you can let us know you would like to speak. First, you can use the raise hand feature, which is a button that's found by clicking on participants and then clicking on raise hand at the bottom right side of the screen. Please do not use this feature until we have asked for public comment, or else we may not see it or know which item you are asking to speak on. As a second option, you can send a message using the chat box saying you would like to speak on this particular agenda item. Comments will be accepted only until the end of the public comment period for that item. Finally, I will then read into the record any public comments received by email for that particular item. Due to technical limitations associated with gathering, printing, and sorting emailed public comment, the city has instituted a 3 p.m. cutoff, the day of a Recreation Commission meeting, for emailed public comments. This is to ensure there is sufficient time to gather and present the emailed comments at the Recreation Commission meeting. Any comments received after 3 p.m. the day of a Recreation Commission meeting will be included in the public comment record, but will not be read at the meeting. Thank you.
Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Ken Udy, 1867 Twin Palms, as an advocate for the San Marino Center. And what I'd like to explain to you, first of all, thank you for serving. I think it's really important. But I want to give you a little bit of background on the San Marino Center, because, you know, we did it primarily because of the Recreation Department. And I think it's going to be important for you to understand some of that. Do I have a time limit? Thank you. You know, because as you know, it's an $8 million project, right? And the San Marino Center has been designated a historic property. There's only one thing you can do with a historic property, and that's restore it. You cannot tear it down and turn it into parking lot. You can't change its exterior. You can change the functionality of the inside, but not the outside. It is not ADA compliant. There are no fire sprinklers. The kitchen doesn't work. The bathrooms are horrible. So if we would try to just go change the air conditioning, ADA, all that, it's kind of like a $5 million bill. So to remodel it, it's going to be an $8 million bill. So as I processed it, the difference was $3 million. You know, and I go, what's your next question? Because it's not that big of a deal. Also, historically, with the financial situation of the city, our annual operating budget is about $30 million a year. When I took office 4.5 years ago, we had a reserve of about $33 million. Today, we have a reserve of about $48 million. All right. Last 4 years, we've gone from, we've increased the reserve from, about $10 million. And the city makes $3.5 million a year. We scrape that money off into a capital improvement program. The reason I ran for office is because I didn't think past city councils understood what capital improvement programs were. That if our streets were all in good condition, it would cost $800,000 a year to keep them in good condition. They did not keep them in good condition, and it costs $50 million to get them back to conditions. So yes, $8+ million is a big number. If they would have addressed it 10 years ago like they should have, it would have been much, much less. I'd like to, and I know this is going to be hard to see, but I'll walk you through it quickly.
Thank you.
That the major, again, the external cannot be changed, but so you'll still see those, that the big major rooms through the middle, the east to west. And you'll see where today, if you're familiar with the building where the kitchen is going to turn into offices for the recreation department. And the kitchen used to be a full service kitchen, and it's going to be knocked down to be a catering kitchen. And you'll see on the east side of the building, there are 2 exterior patios being created. And then we're going to knock down the wall, or the wall between the library and the San Marino Center to create a campus type feel. And all these suggestions came. We had a great task force of about a dozen people, helping the architect think through what this is going to look like and work like. Another one that's fun is the front of the San Marino Center is Huntington Drive, and the front of the library is the parking lot. So part of the recommendation from the task force was to make the parking lot entrance and look from the library, and a parking lot entrance and look from the San Marino Center to be, compatible. So that's what you'll see there in that other drawing. And I've heard that, I haven't heard anything, but I would suspect that there might be some residents that are not in favor of spending $8 million. But when you got $46 million in the bank, what are you going to do with it? I think you're going to reinvest it back into the capital improvements program of streets, sewers, sidewalks, San Marino Center. And the next big albatross that the city's going to have to figure out is Stoneman. Because the city bought Stoneman from the school district for $6 million, and that's going to be red tagged. The San Marino Center would have been red tagged. You could not have torn it down. You couldn't do anything. It would have been red tagged. And essentially today, Stoneman is red tagged. So the city's going to have to figure that one out. So hopefully setting an example of doing a project right at the San Marino Center is going to have a format and a pathway so that we can figure out how to do what's right for Stoneman in the future. And the exciting thing is I think having, a campus feel between the library and a community center, and your input on what programming could and should look like. And I don't think that the library should have programming and the rec department should have programming. I think the community group center should have programming. So I hope that, your evolution as rec commission turns into a community services commission that looks at both the library and the San Marino Center and the recreation department to help us guide and steer what, effective programming could and should be for the city. So again, I wanted to have a little bit of that background. Thank you for taking the time to serve and look forward to supporting you for the next 93 days.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Does anyone wish to, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
This brings us to the beginning of our agenda, and the first item on the agenda is ceremonial. And it is the organization of the Recreation Commission by selecting a chairperson and vice chairperson. We will start with the selection of the chairperson. And I would like to begin with sharing that although Commissioner Edward Yen is unable to be here tonight, number 5 on the team here, he has expressed interest in serving as chairperson. He has a great deal of experience and oversight with public meetings in his professional career. With that being said, would any other commissioners also like to be considered for chairperson or recommend someone for chairperson?
So it's the awkward silent.
I would nominate Corey because she seems very organized and printed out the agenda and seems like she would make a good chairperson as well.
Thank you very much. I accept that.
I do not have much experience with public meetings, especially the parliamentary rules. But so I would defer to anyone who does. Since we're not talking about vice chair yet, I'm not going to put myself for that, but I would certainly defer to anyone who had any experience with that. I think that would be helpful. I know in just reviewing the parliamentary rules, although I'm sure we're going to get lots of training and help with everyone, it would be of help if someone who with the chair who had experience with that would be nominated. And I don't know the precise nature of the experience that he has, but I would.
Mr. Yen works for LA County and he serves the Board of Supervisors.
Sounds pretty good to me.
I agree with that.
I would agree with that as well.
You just need someone who's organized, knows the system.
Okay, so at this point, it's time to make a motion and a second. So anybody can make a motion to nominate or
I move to nominate
Edward. Yen.
Edward Yen as the chairman of the Recreation Commission.
And I'll second.
Okay, great. Roll call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Yan is not here. Commissioner Wu?
Present.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Sai?
Aye.
Commissioner Tam?
Aye.
And Commissioner Solon?
Aye.
Perfect. Motion passes.
Great. And now we will take nominations for vice chairperson.
I'd like to nominate myself for vice chairperson.
She can do that, right? Okay.
Thank you for the vote of
Is there
confidence.
anybody else? Is there anyone else with interest?
I stated earlier, I would have an interest in, and I would nominate myself for vice chair as well. As I stated, I don't have that much experience with public meetings, but I'm very interested in doing so. I am an attorney. I have been for about 13 years with a nonprofit organization, and I do have a fair amount of experience with meetings in that realm and committees in that realm. And I would be happy to lend whatever organization and interest that I have to the vice chair position if possible.
So, yeah, and so would either of you like to make any other comments or suggestions?
Born and raised in San Marino, well-versed on most of the city policies. I have been back here in San Marino. I left briefly, I came back, and I have been a member of many volunteer organizations within the city. Well-versed in parliamentary procedure, agendas, minutes, call to order, things of that nature. I'm happy to take this on for our first term here, and if you wanted to take over after that. But something I feel strongly about the Recreation Commission and all the good that it does in the city. So I would love to take that on as vice chairman.
Okay, so do I have a motion and a second?
Guess it's motion and. Or,
So you would,
okay,
yeah, and you would, can you
So-
give him some
so-
language?
okay, I move to nominate or select. Can I do both of them at the same time, or do I just?
No, they can't do it.
Oh, okay, okay,
So that's the end.
okay,
Coming down to who you're picking.
okay. Oh, you go.
Just don't want to be put on the spot. I won't be offended. It's okay.
You can also do the motion for yourself.
We can vote for ourselves? Oh,
You can move for yourself and vote for yourself.
I did the first one.
So do we have a motion on the table?
No.
No,
No.
we not yet, right? Because she said it, but, oh, okay.
Do you want me to just do it? I move to nominate myself for vice chairman.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Yen is not, or sorry, he's chairperson. Commissioner Wu,
This seems like an awkward thing to do. Either way, can I abstain from the vote since it involves
Yes.
something that,
Commissioner Sai,
Yes.
okay, Commissioner Tam.
Aye.
And Commissioner Solon
Aye.
and Chairperson Yen is not here. Motion passes.
Yay me.
So
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
So.
Yeah, so now we are going to just like move Cory.
It's probably
Okay.
both me, yeah.
I move, okay.
Great.
Okay,
And then we have the. Because you're gonna take over the meeting now. But. What we have for you is. So we just did item one. And you don't need to do that. I have a slide.
Oh, okay.
here where you can just.
okay.
So we're moving to new business because we
Okay.
were doing ceremony.
Mhm.
Business, so then anything right under here is what you actually say.
Okay.
Because it's Christina and Kristen has us all set up the script. So
Love
then we
that.
Just keep going through.
That would like that in everyday life, can you imagine?
And then, yeah, so when it says wait, you'll see that.
Okay.
It's kind of obvious. what we're doing. But if you have any questions, Christina's here.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Okay,
This is the way it's supposed to be. There's voting
I don't know
and
about that, but we'll talk about it. Okay, moving on to item number 2, Director and Recreation Manager Report. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Recreation Manager
Cover Rubies.
Hova Rubius?
Yeah, just the way it's.
Can I get out of order for one more public comment before we can hear?
I make it so.
Can you, the 1867 Twin Palms? When you think about the budgets for Recreation and Recreation Commission, in the past, people have talked about revenue recovery. Throw that out the window. Throw it out the window. Because before the revenue recovery was what, 20%, 80%, whatever it is. And I said I could bankrupt the company in a heartbeat if you gave me a 20%, revenue recovery factor. And I want you to think about what you think is best for the city and the community, because in my mind, there's always money for a good idea, and there's never money for a bad idea. So think about what, as you go through, the department's report, and you're thinking about the budgets, and you look at the budgets for 4th of July and et cetera. What's the good use to spend money to build community? And don't think about revenue recovery, because again, you had, was it 20% revenue recovery, 80%? 80%. I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me? You got a bad idea, spend lots of money on it and get 80%. No, think about what you think is going to be absolutely best for the community, because you heard me say before, we got $45 million in the bank. Right, so we can go spend $1 million or 2 million or whatever the right number is to really build community, to help the community come together. So that's my, thank you for letting me interrupt before you get into this report.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Udi.
We love to hear that. So, good evening, and it's really nice to meet you guys. I should have introduced myself, but you all know me. So as part of your packet every month, you will receive a director and recreation manager report. This is the time when we provide some administrative updates as well as sort of operational updates from maybe over the last month or 2 months. We have never met, so we've gone back through the summer, and Eddie's going to touch on some things, but I'd like to start out really quickly with some orientation. I felt it was really important to help you as new commissioners understand how the recreation division and rec services fit within community services and the department. So I have a really quick orientation for you guys, and I'm going to ask you to watch that massive television screen there. We're going to see if our tech works. Oh, not there. No, here.
It's moving on my computer, but.
Oh, I take a minute to go through. Of course, it was working perfect earlier, as Eddie said, yeah.
It's working on Zoom for the people that aren't there.
Oh, Angie's here. There we go. Okay, so first, I'd like to give a little bit of a background on kind of where we've been and where we are today. So for those of you who were not aware, back in 2020, the recreation and library divisions actually merged to create a community services department. A few years back, there was actually a recreation department. Whereas today it's a division within community services department, and I also oversee the library services division. They were consolidated to provide efficiency and effectiveness among the use of staff, facilities, marketing resources, those kinds of things. As you can see, the operating budget for the department is approximately 3.5 million. We have an administrative division that is 456,000. Our rec division runs about 1.5 million in operating, as well as a library division a little bit more. And collectively within the department, we serve all of our services, and our impact to the community is well over 300,000 patrons and visitors to all of the services and programs that we provide. So here's another quick snapshot of sort of how we're organized. The rec division is on the left. Anything that's on the right, the Kroll Public Library, we actually have a library board of trustees that we meet with every month as well. So we're providing a very similar presentation to them every month, and we garner input from them every month about all things library related. So on the left side of recreation division, we do have 5 full-time staff and approximately 40 part-time. You can see we have over 500,000 programs annually. That's everything from all the programs we manage in-house, as well as all the contract classes. There's our participants annually. We operate out of facilities. Ken spoke a little bit about the Stoneman Center, the Stoneman Building, excuse me. That is where all of our rec staff is housed, and we do have the majority of our programs are there, along with Lacey Park. The San Marino Center is within our operational oversight. It's going to be out of commission for a while as it gets a much needed makeover. And it's going to be breaking ground soon. I believe that we do have a groundbreaking on September 29th. So would love to have you guys come out and it'll be publicly, announced and noticed all over the place. So please come and hear about that. There'll be if you can make it, I think it's in the morning. Anyway, so we do oversee the operation and of the San Marino Center. We oversee Lacey Park activities events, and then we do a agreement with San Marino High School to use their pool for aquatics program. So I include this slide to just kind of encapsulate, how we really do serve the community and what it is that we do. We believe and we know that we connect people to places and programs. Got to have a place to bring people, and then we got to, offer the programs within a facility or a park. We promote healthy, active lifestyles in everything that we do. We create a sense of community. We connect neighbors to neighbors. We connect people to nature, and we provide safe recreation and personal development opportunities, especially here at the library. We have over 20 community partners and stakeholder groups that we collaborate with on programming and events, and we're very proud of these community relationships that we have. I won't read them all, but as you can see, it's a really essential part of our service delivery is being able to partner with all of these, really important community entities, and we're proud of those relationships. We also work really, really hard to keep our residents connected through hopefully a comprehensive marketing and communications campaign 12 months out of the year. We produce a community services guide, which you're aware of. We do have a web presence both on the recreation pages and the Crowell Public Library pages. We do have social media, both Instagram and Facebook. We have the e-newsletter. If you haven't signed up, please do so. That goes out monthly. We participate in the city manager's weekly update to keep people communicated and apprised of what we do, weekly, if not monthly. And then we also push out messaging through our online registration software. So that ends my little overview of the Community Services Department and how kind of we're organized. Now I'm going to pass the presentation over to Eddie, who is our Recreation Division Manager, and he's going to talk a little bit about all the amazing programs and services that we offer.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy. So again, my name is Eddie Covarrubias. I'm the Recreation Manager. I've been with the City of San Marino in the Recreation Division now for 7 years. So I've seen a lot of programming, a lot of different opportunities that have presented themselves, and we've provided to the community. Just to give you a quick synopsis of the programs that we offer programs anywhere from youth, which is 1.5 toddler age, all the way through seniors. We try to provide as many quality programs to anyone that really is interested in taking programs. We offer programs to not only a variety of age ranges, but as well as to residents and non-residents. We offer year-round community events, which we've been expanding lately. We also offer, we are in charge of facility rentals and park rentals at Lacey Park. We offer senior trips and support services, as well as coordinate volunteers and provide opportunity to volunteers, the local youth, a lot of the time that are interested in high school to help out in their community. We do advertise to have them assist us with these opportunities. We offer in the youth and teen programs, just a few of the examples are aquatics, learn to swim program, early childhood enrichment classes. We offer contract classes in arts, music, any other kind of education or enrichment, STEM classes. We offer summer camps, as well as a lot of sports options for youth, and Parent and Me classes, which we've been trying to push a little bit more because we understand that there's a demographic there of parents that can't do anything really for themselves because they have their youth and they want to participate and be active. So these Parent and Me classes have really filled that gap for us. some of the adult and 55 over classes that we have are aquatics fitness classes, gentle yoga, which is one of our most successful classes, senior trips. We have offer lecture series, and our most popular adult and senior program lately has been the senior happy hour. You know, we've had these gatherings at Lacey Park. They've been outdoors. We started during the pandemic because it was safe to gather outside. People missed each other. These have been a huge success. So we're happy to provide these to San Marino residents. Community events, we have our traditional track and field all city meet, our San Marino Great San Marino Egg Hunt, our Memorial Day service. Our new event is a the Lacey After Dark Family Campout, which took place in June, as well as the one that everybody knows is the 4th of July fireworks celebration. Additional ones that we've included or we've added have been a summer concert series. This Saturday, we have our second annual Puppy Love Dog Party at Lacey Park. We have our Trunk or Treat event, as well as Light Up San Marino, and our new big one that Kathy will probably go into further in a future meeting is the Home for the Holidays event. Again, we offer facility rentals. We support the community with a Dial-A-Ride program for people 60 and over. We work in partnership with the Pasadena Dial-A-Ride. We do wellness check-in calls. So for example, there are some senior citizens that live in San Marino that don't have anybody nearby. We have sometimes their children call us, they live out of state, just to have us check up on them. So we offer that service. We'll call them on a weekly basis or whatever their preference is, just to make sure they're okay and they're doing well. And we also provide assistance with the resident support hotline. The last time we used or we really used this resident support hotline was during this last heat wave in our cooling center. We kept it open 24 hours, during the entire heat wave during the operation times and hours of that. And we did receive some calls for assistance there. That being said, do you have any questions that I can answer for you about any of the programs?
I have a question. What happened to the 4th of July house decorating competition, which we won?
So that was that was a seasonal event. That was during the COVID when everyone was kind of staying at home. So that was just offered during that pandemic time to keep people home and safe. We're providing these activity or these decorating starter kits. But when we reopened the 4th of July and offered it to the community again, that program kind of took a back seat to the actual 4th of July fireworks celebration.
That's acceptable.
Yeah.
Thanks. Kristen, can you put do you have the opportunity to put the packet on the screen? Can you?
Yeah.
Did everybody print? I think I overheard. Did everybody print their packet, the agenda with the
have it.
report and stuff? Does everybody have it? Okay, everybody has a copy of it.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Oh, okay, yeah. let's do that. Yeah.
They don't have the full
And-
packet.
Oh, it's not the whole
There's
packet.
one.
Yeah, because so we provide you with this report, but we don't actually go through it verbatim. So what you received was just now that overview presentation of the Department of Division. Ken was going to come in here with the San Marino update, but he has already provided that in the earlier part of the meeting. And then usually I share some personnel updates, which I will not go through them. But I am really, and I'm on page 4 of 11. I'm really sad to let everybody know that the 3rd bullet point is now inaccurate. We were able to hire a wonderful young man who took our maintenance assistant position, and he just gave us notice today. So we're very sad to have to say farewell to him, but he got a better job with a neighboring city. So we unfortunately weren't able to offer him the amount of hours that another city can. So Jonathan will only be with us about a couple more weeks. And then on page 5, there is at the top Home for the Holidays event, December 9. I didn't know if anybody had any questions. Hopefully you had a chance to read up about it. This is the actual promotional campaign will begin in November, but this is just a little bit of a preview. You probably saw it listed in the activity guide that you should have received at your house. Does anybody have any questions? We're refreshing the former event called Christmas Around the Drive that was held many, many years ago. City took it over and the council asked us to take it over. Myself, along with the department and Public Works, we're going to be refurbishing the bus stop, the Holiday House bus stop. And so they have allocated $60,000, 40 for the event and 20 for the refurbishing of the bus shelter. So we are very excited about this event. So more really great information to come in the upcoming months prior to the 9th. And then we don't have any questions there. Just a quick comment. We have taken over the Lacey Park Gatehouse. It used to be under the Public Works operation. It really felt to me like it was better suited underneath community services, where the hopefully the experts at activating the park, managing customer service. We our staff are very trained, our part-time group, and we have a lot of resources there with cash handling, running the computer, that sort of thing. So the Public Works director, the former one, was very excited for us to be taking it over. And so that happened July 1. The other exciting piece to this is the gatehouse that's at the front of the park is going to be demoed, and we're going to be bringing in a brand new gatehouse with new computer, and it's going to be really nice looking. And so hopefully you'll see, a nice shiny new structure there. While albeit small, it'll be new, and it'll dress the front of the park up quite nicely. And it'll greet all of our non-residents who pay the fee on the weekends. Hopefully in late December or late September or early October. So the other part of this report is to provide an opportunity to kind of find some announcements from the library division, and certainly pertinent to the commission here and residents. The library, Public Library Foundation has an annual or a biannual fundraiser every year to raise funds for capital improvements here at this building. And they have set October 15th for literary libations. And we will be supporting them every step of the way. So please mark your calendar, consider getting involved. Again, that information is listed in the guide. So a shout out to our support group, the San Marino Public Library Foundation, and all that they do to help keep the building up to date, as not just improvements, but technology wise too. And then we include the upcoming events section. You'll see this every month, and this is our opportunity to tell you if you'd like to get involved, if you'd like to show up for different events, please mark your calendar. We'll give you 3 months at a glance. Conversely, on the library side, we connotate which division is sort of spearheading that event or that program. So anything that has the asterisks in your list is not that it really matters. Our library board of directors really wanted to know what events were recreation staff and which ones were spearheaded by library staff. So that's one designation that you'll see, but nonetheless, it's all community services. So please mark your calendars and get involved. So at this point, that kind of ends my administrative brief. And then I'm going to hand over the binder to Eddie for his very quick operational briefs on programming.
Yeah, so I provided these small kind of reports or just to give you an idea of our summer, the end of our summer program and what we offered. Some of the numbers, this is just a small fraction of them. Contract classes, there's a multitude of activities that take place there. But this is just the big headers and the big topics. Aquatic summer camps, the summer concert series provided some numbers. as well as with our new recreation registration software, Civic Rec, we're able to also send out evaluations. So we were able to receive some feedback from the community, which you see here posted on some of those descriptions that you've already probably read. And if you have any questions about any of these programs, I can answer them for you.
I had a question about the gatehouse and
Mhm.
the charging of non-residents. So I've been to parks where non-residents are charged. I think they're mostly in Orange County and LA County. I feel like this is the only park that does that. Is it for the revenue stream? Is it to crowd control so it's not overpopulated on the weekends? What's the rationale behind that?
That is a great question, and I was not here when that ordinance, went into place. I don't know if Eddie, I think it's been in existence for quite a long time, and I do have many years of experience managing parks as well. And you hit the nail on the head, really. It's about not that we're trying to dissuade non-residents to come, but they don't pay taxes. And so if they do come, it's just a little offset to their impact on the park. We are open, we're a public space, but residents do pay taxes that help support the operation and the maintenance. And so it does allow us to recoup some of the funds that we can then, put back into the budget. So then as we go to page 7, we don't have any other questions about our operational briefs. Hopefully you had a chance to read the packet before you came. The next thing we'd like to provide to you is we share our marketing and communication efforts. So we give you a little understanding of where we're at with the community services guide. We do produce that 4 times a year. We are getting ready to be in full production of our winter guide that'll come out at the end or beginning of December. So we're busy behind the scenes. This is the bane of our existence, pulling together all this program and all this marketing 4 times a year. And then we share a little bit about how we're increasing our reach and our following on Facebook and Instagram, some of the top performing posts, the top posts that are shared. Then within the report, it'll be the same format every month. I have a heading there that says Community Services Department in the news. So we'll put a link there to any time we are mentioned in the newspaper, or if we make the big leaps, any of the bigger papers outside of the San Bernardino Tribune. And then we also like to brag about our staff. We like to pass on anytime we get positive comments. And so you'll see some customer feedback there about Happy Hour Aquatics in Camp Lacey. So with that kind of completes Eddie and I's director and manager report. And I will field any questions that you might have before we move on to the next item. Anybody? No? Okay. So if you want to, as chair.
Was this, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
Yes, since there's no one here, we can start there.
Okay,
And no, we do not have any requests for comment electronically.
okay. Are we moving on to the 4th of July recap?
Mhm.
Okay.
Actually,
Yep.
did anyone want to say anything further on the director manager report? Because you would bring it back for discussion.
I'm sorry. At this time, I will bring the item back to the commission for discussion. Do we have any comments or questions from the commission?
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, great.
moving on to the 4th of July event recap.
Yep, thank you. Krista, I tell you, she's the busiest girl in the room right here. Thanks, Kristen. So we're going to provide an update on the event. Everybody's a resident. And so I don't know that I even need this, but I felt this was an important slide To give a little bit of an event background. We've been celebrating it for 57 years, as hopefully everybody read the report. But, we have the parade, the picnic, fireworks, and it's all centered in our beautiful Crown Jewel Lacey Park. Our community partners, Rotary, City Club, and the Chamber, they've been integral to this event for many, many years. And we actually did have debrief meetings with them. So you'll note that some post-event comments throughout the report. And it's also really prudent to mention that prior to 2016, or 2006, excuse me, the Recreation Division and the city didn't actually manage this event. It started outside the city. So once it came over to city operations, it started with the Rec Division, from historic knowledge, I don't think any other department in the city managed this event other than us, right? The Rec Division.
Last time I was gonna be in the parade, 25 years ago,
Yeah.
it was managed by my friend's mom, Mrs. Walker.
Right.
So
Just wonderful community volunteers and stuff. So the Rec Division took it over in 06 and we've been doing a phenomenal job growing it and managing it. I wasn't here, but and just for the record, I've been here about a year. So Rotary Club, however, has been managing the community parade for many, many years. And then City Club has been hosting the pavilion since 2014. So those two major activities fall outside of, say, any budget considerations or anything like that. They are just true community partners that we work with hand in hand to produce the event. This is a quick snapshot of our 5-year attendance estimates. It's an art, not a science. And then you'll note that 2022, there was no event. So we hover around, 9,000, give or take a few hundred by our best estimates as event managers. We did take a dip after the 2020 and we came back pretty impressively with 6,000. And then last year we're estimated shortly under 9,000, which I believe is a pretty good recovery post-pandemic to have nearly 9,000 people in the park with volunteers and things like that, staff and volunteers. So I think that proves that it's an extremely popular event for this community. And this is a budget to actual slide. This will just familiarize everyone with how much money the city and council allows the department to spend, and we allocate this every year. I loved Councilmember Udi's comment, don't worry about cost recovery. I only share this because in the future, and I'll give a little background on how this cost recovery sort of nationally compares to other cities and other events. Okay. So we spend, if we just focus on the final column, 2022. So our revenue for the event predominantly came from wristband sales. It costs to get in. Let me ask Eddie something. So I just wanted to clarify. So the majority of that 64,000 is truly wristband sales. So then our expenses to operate the event were approximately 84,823, so 85,000. Okay, but our net the net support, it's not 100% cost recovery. Okay, but the most important piece here is that final line. And I will tell you, across the country for community programming, and I kind of have that double asterisk there, the average percentage of cost recovery for events when it's mostly a community benefit, most cities run at a 0 to 25% cost recovery, meaning they believe it's so important to run community events that they're not going to require that you charge anything, because they believe it just enriches the community. Here, this is the way we've structured it, which is wonderful. In the future, should we need to add expenses, okay, which might come in front of you in future months, don't worry, like Ken said, don't worry about the cost recovery and just know we're doing really, really well on cost recovery for this very large event for our community. We did make some significant operational improvements that hopefully you read about. Again, I'm just summarize these from the actual report. We included some new public messaging as it relates to event parking. Because we are short on public parking space here in San Marino, our neighborhoods get really impacted around Lacey Park. And over the years, it's often become a point of contention for some folks. And safety is a consideration as well, with pedestrian traffic, foot traffic, along with cars. And we added some new event signage. We kind of freshened that up. We added a new map display. We improved we upgraded the event brochure itself. We started planning a little bit earlier. We were thanked and praised by our event partners for our professionalism and helpfulness as we collaborate to put this event on. These comments came out of those debrief meetings, so I felt it important to share with you that they find it, a collaborative process to be able to work with city staff to produce the parade as well as the pavilion. The parade and the pavilion operations were well received by spectators and participants. The City Club reported that pavilion ticket sales were in high demand, and Rotary did want to say that they just had phenomenal interest in volunteering. And that is kind of rare too, that you can get such good volunteerism here in our community. Here's what didn't go well. So the previous slide was the header was what went well. This is what didn't go well. So the big challenges, and we have two teams of people or three teams, I should say, to clarify where this feedback is coming from. We have an event committee that is at the staff level. Eddie spearheads that committee, and we have interdepartmentally, we have staff representatives on that event committee from police, fire, public works, administration. Yes. And so that's our event committee. Then we also have the executive team, the city managers, direct reports, all of the department heads, of which I'm one of them. So we also asked our executive team, please weigh in from your perspectives as a department head. And then we reached out, as I mentioned, to our event partners to ask them for feedback. Okay, what went well for you, what didn't? So that is where some of these higher level areas are coming from. It's not just from the event committee. Okay. So I touched on it before. High attendance continues to impact neighborhood parking. Number two, some security concerns were raised related to the current staffing levels and the ability to provide adequate coverage at both entrance gates, side exit gates, as well as throughout the park. So that's something that, we really would like to look at next year. And it was a concern raised by at several levels. Staff observed patrons not adhering to park and event guidelines related to the prohibition of intoxicating beverages and controlled substances. I'm not even saying that right. Am I saying that right? Yeah, that's straight out of the ordinance. So I didn't just make that sentence up. So yeah, that is something we would like to really take a hard look at in the future. Number 4, concerns were shared about fencing quality and visibility and lighting, specifically when exiting the park after the fireworks show. And then finally, the city experienced community partners not getting their permit paperwork in on time. And then these are some minor points that our partners shared back with us that, the pavilion and City Club, the budget struggles to break even, but they're going to be, hopefully finding some solutions for that. And then securing volunteers was, for them anyway, was a little difficult as opposed to the Rotary Club having ample volunteers. But the Rotary Club also would like to consider adding some signage and barricades. The lack of signage and barricades hindered the clearance of the parade route, and if we could look to kind of find some solutions there for next year. And then looking ahead, as it relates to you as a rec commission and council and how we kind of address making improvements for next year. Upon receipt of feedback from the Recreation Commission today, and then City Council on September 30th, staff will work to provide viable solutions and recommendations that address safety and liability issues for council's consideration. And that complete report will be given after the first of the year. So
Are there any questions from the commission?
I want to ask, are there attendance caps? Because it seems like a lot of these issues are related to the amount of staffing that can be provided versus the amount of people that are coming in. Obviously, that's, it seems like it would be getting even more popular as time goes on. I know everyone wants to be able to go out and participate in these events. So is that a number that's there, or?
yeah, I'm going to confer with Eddie because I want to make sure I have my facts correct. So I just needed to make sure I had my facts right. So because I wasn't here, but I did read from some historic documents that there is a capacity recommendation from the fire chief for Lacey Park, because as you know, it is landlocked and it's fully gated. And we believe that it is approximately 13,000. So and that there must have been some methodology around coming up with that, kind of square footage and how many people can we safely get within a 29 acre park with trees and all of the activities going on. So we believe it's around 13,000. We're not pushing that quite yet. So like our average attendance, as you saw. So.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question and a recommendation, and it's kind of similar to my last question, which is I noticed the pricing was $5 for residents, and I think it was 15 or maybe even 20 for non-25.
It's $5 per resident. Pre-sale is
Pre-sale.
$5 for resident, $15 for non-residents, and that's $20 the day of for everybody.
Okay, so my question stems from the fact that to me, for non-residents, like the pricing on the 5 to the 15 seems almost exclusionary. I mean, I know a lot of the other classes and programs are the pricing is a little bit closer, and I mean, it's probably due for reasons of capacity and also for again, to not to support the taxpayer base. But as a new resident to San Marino, I just purchased a home in May. I can tell you when we were shopping for neighborhoods, sometimes real estate agents would say, "Oh, go check out their 4th of July parade," or something. And this was in Northern California in the Bay Area when we were considering neighborhoods. And neighborhoods and communities that were inclusive, that welcomes the community, especially ones that can afford it, because I know there's the cost revenue argument, but for communities that offer free events or at least events that aren't trying to keep others, slightly out, it creates a more welcoming feel. So as a new resident who actually was primarily looking in South Pasadena for a home, San Marino had kind of an aura of exclusion, and I can say most young families preferred Garfield Park and the opportunities they had. So my husband before this was always very pro South Pasadena and Garfield Park. We bought our home in San Marino because it was cheaper here. I mean, it's hard to believe, but the same home we bought recently, there's a home 1,000 square feet smaller in South Pasadena that sold for the same price. And I can say young families who are looking for homes. I don't know if any of you have been in the market in this horrible housing market. You know, it's events like this that are, I feel like are either welcoming or maybe less welcoming that actually have an impact on our housing prices and the competitiveness of that. So anyways, this is, you know, long and philosophical and whatnot, but I do think that starting from an event like July 4th to make the pricing a little bit more equitable can actually help change the perception of San Marino by outsiders. So it's just another way to look at the revenue. And I know it's a different perspective, but having been the outsider and now an insider, I just wanted to share that perspective.
I know, thank you very much. It's so noted. It'll be in the minutes and we'll bring it up to the council. This is your citizen voice, you know, being heard. And so we will pass it on. I think it's been for many years, it's been the price and the spread.
The price has never changed since the
He's-
recreation, since the council asked for there to, it used to be free to everybody. But then I believe in like around 2008, and this is before but I hear the history through others that have been here. When 2008, when the economy took a downturn, they wanted to recover some of the money that they were spending on some of these community events. 4th of July was one of them. And as far as I know, the pricing has been the same since 2008. It hasn't changed.
Okay. I would like to open up the item for public comments. Are there any?
There is no one online wishing
Anyone
to speak.
online? Okay. No online submitted electronically.
None.
At this time, I will bring the item back to the commission for discussion. Do I have any comments, questions from the commission? I think we covered it. Yes, okay. Keep going. The fourth and final agenda item is advisory body training. Can we please have a presentation from City Clerk Baker?
Do you want to sit here? Are you sure?
Yes.
Hello again, everybody. Thank you for having me. As I mentioned before the meeting got started, this is the general advisory body training. I've conducted this training for every advisory body so far. I'll also be doing a makeup training for your fellow commissioner and other advisory body members that weren't able to attend theirs. And this is really just kind of a high level. It applies to basically every advisory body. Feel free to ask me questions as we go. Hopefully a lot of it's familiar from the handbooks that you guys received when you were appointed commissioners. So here we go. We're going to start with roles and responsibilities. So first, what is an advisory body? So an advisory body is any commission, committee, board, any other name they want to come up with that advises the city council. Advisory bodies are created and established by the city council. Members are appointed by the city council. And then here in San Marino, member terms are between 2 and 4 years, depending on the advisory body. You are limited to 2 consecutive terms, and then you can take a 2-year break and come back and serve 2 more consecutive terms if you'd like. DRC has slightly different rules. They get the 4 consecutive terms. Terms start on June 1st. This was a change this year, actually. We used to have some that started on June 1st, some that started July 1st. The Library Board of Trustees, the state mandates that they start June 1st. So we just had everybody start June 1st. The annual recruitment will begin in March or April. You guys don't have to worry about that next year. And then any vacant spots that occur, we just fill them as needed. There are 5 members on each advisory body. The Planning Commission, the Design Review Committee, and the Library Board of Trustees also have 2 alternates. Each advisory body meets at least monthly. And absences are a big deal. If we have absences and we can't make a quorum, then we can't have a meeting. So please make sure that we're getting here on time. The Public Safety Commission does have, per our code, only 2 excused absences per fiscal year and no unexcused absences. While there isn't a amount in our code for the Recreation Commission, it is something that council liaisons and the council can take into consideration when they're looking at reappointments. So that's just something to keep in mind. As stated earlier, there are 5 advisory bodies here in San Marino. We have the Planning Commission, the Library Board of Trustees, the Design Review Committee, the Public Safety Commission, and the Recreation Commission. So what does an advisory body do? They're in here for the council. They give it citizens another forum to participate in their community. They provide in-depth analysis of specific issues while also providing a broad perspective on those focused topics. So because you guys are different members from council, it's more members of the community being able to look at topics and make recommendations to council, where you then have other members of the community. So it allows for a lot of eyes and thought to go into it. And then they also provide advisory recommendations to council. You'll see in this little diagram, we have 2 advisory bodies that are also quasi judicial. That's the Planning Commission and Design Review Committee. They're the only advisory bodies that can actually make decisions that are in effect. City Council is the only other ones that can do that. What advisory bodies do not do? They do not make citywide policy. That's City Council's role. They do not direct budget decisions. Well, Kathy and the Community Services Department will certainly come to you guys for input and recommendations. It is the council that will set the budget, and then it is staff that makes decisions based off of that. They do not directly impact operations. So you guys, again, will help provide recommendations and stuff, but it's staff that actually provides all the operations, and you do not direct staff. That is the responsibility of the city manager and her designators. All right, member requirements. These are probably pretty familiar for you guys since you just went through this oath of office prior to your first meeting. All of you successfully did that. You do need to file your Form 700. That's your statement of economic interest within 30 days of appointment. And then you'll have to do it annually thereafter, and they're due April 1st. And you will get all kinds of emails from me about this. I am your filing officer for the Planning Commission and City Council. They actually file directly with the FPPC. And then there's also ethics training that all of you need to complete within 1 year of appointment. And then you'll have to do it biannually. And I like this line. It's from the Institute for Local Government. Ethics laws create a floor for public officials' conduct, not a ceiling. So please keep that in mind in all things regarding the commission. It's important to have good advisory body member working relationships. So that's between you guys. Always show respect for each individual's viewpoint. Allow members, time to present their views before commenting on them or asking them questions. Be open and honest as much as you can, and recognize new members. You guys are all new, so hopefully you will do this with each other. Make, down the road in the next recruitment, when we have new members, or if we do, make sure they feel welcome and that they're included. There's also council liaisons to every advisory body. It's important to know the council members serve as liaisons between you and the city council. They are not actual members of the commission. They don't get to vote or any of that. Below, you'll see each delegate and alternate for each advisory body. Your delegate is Vice Mayor Talt, and your alternate is Councilmember Udi. Staff liaison role. So you also have staff liaisons. What staff liaisons do, they provide administrative support. So like Kathy and Kristen have been doing all day. They ensure meeting compliance, helping to make sure that we're meeting all those Brown Act requirements, which we'll go into further later. They are there to help advise you, provide technical expertise on anything, act as a conduit for communication, whether that be with the city council, with residents, with staff. They'll present any recommendations that you do have to the city council. And please remember, they do deserve to be treated and respected as professionals. Staff liaisons do not work directly for the advisory body. We're here to support you, but do not work for you. We do not provide full-time support to the advisory body. And we do not provide individual reports, favors, or special consideration to members. Everything we do is for the commission as a whole. Any questions regarding roles and responsibilities? No? Okay. Next, the Brown Act. This is kind of really the meat of public meetings. So I'm going to read these 2 lines that are bolded because I think they're really important. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. Further, the Brown Act says the people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. So really what that means, the heart of the Brown Act is that all meetings of a legislative body, and you guys are a legislative body, should be conducted in open with the public. So any discussions, deliberations that happen need to happen in the open. Something to note, which is kind of unique for, because there's always an exception to every rule, and this is the first one you'll hear this evening. This includes posts on social media. So be very careful with posts on social media. With most things in the Brown Act, if there's 3 of you in a discussion, then that's a Brown Act violation. Social media, it only takes 2. So if you share a post about something recreation that falls within the jurisdiction of the Recreation Commission, and one of your fellow commissioners likes it, that's a Brown Act violation. If they reshare it, it's a Brown Act violation. So I just kind of warn, just stay away from social media, like with each other, like it's about your family, great. If it's anything that's recreation, it's probably best just to avoid it.
And that includes like an event you're trying to promote.
So you can say like, especially
So
for
like
this one. it's
we
a little-
posted something
Right.
and then Leslie says, oh, I'm gonna show this to my friends.
You
And
could
then
share it,
Somebody likes.
but so
Maybe
say
you don't
you
like
share
it.
it. Vice Chair Solon should not go on and then like your share.
Even if it's like.
She can then
camp
go-
out,
Yeah.
you like post that. Okay, so
Yeah.
like, we pretty much should
Can-
not.
Don't
promote
promote,
it.
right?
But-
So every,
Don't be friends.
yeah,
It's not
every,
legislative. It's
I know.
not-
every single one of you could reshare the city's post individually. Just don't like that each other did it. I know.
So if my family and I are at an event for the city, we can post that we're there and we're loving it, but nothing about any,
You can post whatever you like.
okay,
They just can't like your post.
so we're not gonna be friends.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm fine,
Brand.
I'm
I know.
fine.
We're not gonna be social media friends.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not gonna be
It's
50 years
very
of social media.
very tricky and like squishy, and social media is so hard. This is their attempt at trying to like control that. Everything else Brown Act related is 3 people, it takes 3.
Yeah, I was about to say, because most of it's 3, so why is
Yeah, this is
social media
the
even
only
more
one that
limited?
it's 2. I'm not sure why the state's reasoning is what it is, but that's what it is. And that's where a lot of people kind of get mixed up.
Quick, okay, just to get really picky.
Uh-huh.
I'm standing outside of my front door on Christmas morning, next to my neighbor, who is the vice mayor.
Uh-huh.
We post a picture together on
Mhm.
Christmas. That's okay.
That's okay, because it's not recreation programming related.
Okay, you're not on the same, you're not served.
Yeah, you two
Okay.
can, yeah.
Okay.
You and the planning commissioner, that's fine.
Got
You
it.
can intermix in the different advisory
Just
bodies,
not
but
here.
You guys,
And
right.
we
Got it.
can't like go out for happy hour before, like, because that's.
2
more-
of you could, but not 3 of you or more.
We could go out for happy hour. We just couldn't post about it.
Well, you couldn't,
We couldn't discuss.
because you
We
might
couldn't discuss
You
anything.
Right.
have, right, we'll
We-
get into
as soon
that
as we
further.
discuss
Okay, yeah,
anything, then
you'll see that.
Right.
Got it.
Another
Got it.
thing to be careful about are group text messages.
Right.
So that too, that is 3 people. So just avoid, don't have a group text message with the 5 of you, with 3 of you, just avoid that because that's a Brown Act violation as well.
I don't even want to know.
Okay, so here are the essentials for an open and public meeting, and this kind of will circle around to why you guys can't go to happy hour. The meeting must be publicly noticed, which Kristen did today. Kathy read that on the agenda where it was posted. The agenda must adequately describe the items being conducted, so being considered. So you can't just say like, report. That's not going to do it. A report on what and what are they asking you to do? So that's why you'll see the receive and file the report, because all they're asking you is just accept it. No action may be taken on items not appearing on the agenda. So when Councilmember Udi earlier this evening was talking about the San Marino Center, you guys couldn't then take action on anything he said. You can receive that. You can maybe ask some follow-up questions. You can ask staff to look into something in the future, but you can't actually take action on it at that meeting. Members of the public must be given an opportunity to address the legislative body before or during consideration of the item. So that's why even when nobody's in the room and nobody's on Zoom, it's still important to say the line of like, if you see nobody like, oh, I see nobody here in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom? No, great. Okay, we'll move on. Always do that because these are recorded. They'll be on video. Give them the opportunity. And items may be heard in closed session. This doesn't really apply to you guys. This is really the city council. They're really the only ones that will take something to closed session, maybe planning commission. But those are very specific instances on when you can. All right, so what is a meeting? A meeting includes any congregation of a majority of the members of a legislative body. So for you guys, that's 3 people. Don't worry, there's exceptions to every rule, so there'll be an exception. At the same time and place to hear, discuss, or deliberate any item that falls within your jurisdiction. So that's why happy hour is out. 3 of you can't come together, because inevitably you guys will talk about what you're all doing, so that's what, so just it's best to keep that away. 2 of you, that's fine. 3 of you or more, not okay. All right, then there's types of meetings. So we'll have regular meetings. We're currently in a regular meeting. This is a meeting that is set by date, time, and location by council resolution. This regular meetings require an agenda be posted 72 hours in advance of the meeting and must have the ability for public comment on any item within that agenda. Special meetings or any meeting outside of that. So if it's in a different location, if it's on a different date, if it's at a different time, it would be a special meeting. That agenda only has to be posted 24 hours in advance, and public comment only has to be done. Public comment only has to be done for the specific items. So in a regular meeting, we have to allow general public comment, like Councilmember you did at the beginning, and then public comment for every item. In a special meeting, you only need public comment for those specific items. It's a little technical, but that's what we're here to help you get through. Okay, like I said, exceptions, meetings that are not meetings. So really what you'll look at is that circle kind of helps conferences. So we do have conferences that, commissioners, advisory body members can go to. So if 3 or more of you happen to be at the same conference, then that's not going to be considered a meeting. But if all of a sudden you guys go off to your own room at a conference, there's 3 of you, then that would be a violation. Community meetings. So as Director Johnson talked about before, the ground breaking, wall breaking, whatever we're calling it, San Marino Center, because we can't break ground.
Yeah.
That's yeah, whatever it's called.
Demo.
The demo day, that because it's a community event, all of you can go for that community event, and that won't be a Brown Act violation. You all go to the 4th of July event. That's not going to be a Brown Act violation because it's a community meeting. If you all come to a city council meeting, that's fine. That would be another body or local agency. So say there's something that's going on the library board of trustees agenda that you guys all are recommending or would like to get an input on, you could all attend that meeting and that wouldn't be a violation. Okay, not accepted. So these are ones that are not, these are would still be considered violations. So if you have informal gatherings, business over meals, coffee, cocktails, those would be a violation. Serial meetings. So I tried to depict them to help. It gets a little confusing, but the first is a daisy chain. So this would be where, Commissioner Sy then talks to Commissioner Tam, then talks to Vice Chair Solon, then talks to Commissioner Wu, excuse me. So each one of you talk to the next one, like Commissioner Sy didn't talk to all of you, but eventually you all heard the same information because you all just kept repeating it to the next person. That would be considered a violation. The hub and spoke would be if Commissioner Sy went and talked to every single one of you. So sure, only 2 of you were talking at any given time, but now you've all basically had the same conversation with the same middle person. It's also important to note that a staff member could be that hub in the middle. So it's important for us as staff to not let that happen as well. We can certainly, answer questions, provide information to all of you, but we can't do that back and forth in exchange of information. A little more about meetings and agendas. So as I stated earlier, agendas for regular meetings have to be posted 72 hours in advance, and all material must be made available to the public. Kristen does a great job. Back there is a printout of agendas, and then there's also the full packet. There's 1 copy of that for people. The postings must be in places that are freely accessible. So there's a board outside of City Hall, at the Stoneman Building, there's a board, and then we also post here in the library. Minutes are the official record of meetings. We do, I have to change that. I knew it was in there. Summary, library board no longer does summary. They just changed also to action. So officially everybody does action style minutes here in the city. We do use recordings of meetings to develop the minutes. And then also we have the videos now that hopefully we're going to be posting to YouTube for people to go back and share later too. So keep that. You can approve minutes for meetings that you are not in attendance at. So when Chair Yen is here, he can approve the minutes for tonight's meeting, even though he wasn't here, and that's fine. Posting times again, so regular meetings is 72 hours, special meetings are 24 hours. There are a thing called adjourn meetings. So if you're conducting a meeting and say it runs pretty late, you know, like, all right, we're done, we can't think anymore, we're gonna adjourn this meeting to a future date to finish it. That you have to post within 24 hours, same for continue. Approved actions for non-agenda items. So earlier I said you can only take actions for items that are listed on the agenda. Here's the exception. Members of the board can make statements or ask questions. So if at the end, say you went to a community event or something like that, you would just like to give an update to everybody, you're free to do that, even though it was an agendized item. You can ask questions for clarification. You can get reports. So like library board has liaisons to different groups within the city, so they can give a report. You can provide references or information to staff. You can also direct staff to bring an item back on a future agenda. Just keep in mind that staff does primarily set the agenda, so that might be as their time permits, not necessarily like on the next agenda. All right, rights of the public. There's a lot here. All persons shall be permitted to attend any meeting of a legislative body and its advisory boards. They cannot be required to provide their names or any other information. We do ask when people give public comment to state their name and their address. We cannot require that. So we can certainly ask them of it. If they say, I don't want to provide any of that, then they don't have to, and they can give the public comment. We can't hold meetings at any facility that would prohibit people from attending. And the public has a right to record all public meetings. So someone can come in here with a camera and sit there and record the entire meeting if they wanted to. They can take all the pictures that they want. Anything that's distributed to the majority of the body must also be made available to the public. So if you get any slides or if public comment comes in ahead of the meeting and we distribute that to you, we also have to make that available to the public. If something is delivered during the meeting, so those items that Councilmember Udi held out, let's make sure Kristen gets one of those and she'll keep that with the record of the meeting as well. So the agenda has to allow for the public to be able to speak on items relating to that advisory body. But keep in mind that it's just related to that advisory body. So if someone comes in here and starts talking about, you know, their design of their house and how they're unhappy that DRC didn't approve it, you can ask them to please, you know, public comment on what's within our jurisdiction. Yes. All right, you can't put limits on public meetings, right? So we've talked about how to be open and free and all these things, exceptions, you can put limits. You can put time limits on comments. So if you so choose, usually it's kind of discretion of the chair, vice chair, but you guys can come up with that together. You can put a time limit. That's why when Councilmember Udi asked, do I have a time limit? Because we are very strict with our time limit at the council meeting because we often have a lot of public comments. So you guys can certainly do that. There are limits on disruptive conduct. So if someone is constantly, if their actions are disrupting the meeting and interrupting, you can have them removed. Limits on irrelevant speech. So if someone's giving public comment or, you know, even if their fellow member is whining about something that doesn't really have anything to do, you can kind of bring them back in. And you can put limits on when to take up the last item. So if a meeting's running really long and you're like, I'm done, you can announce ahead of time, okay, we're not going to take any new item after 8 p.m. So then you know the meeting's going to end then. And it's important to remember to leave the premises when the meeting is over, because again, we don't want to make the appearance that 3 of you are talking about what just happened at the meeting or what you'd like to see in the future, and that would be a Brown Act violation. So it's best just to kind of skedaddle as soon as it's over. Because again, ethics is, you know, ethics law is the floor, not the ceiling. So we want to make sure that everything we're doing is above board. And of course, there are criminal action and civil remedies for any of these that are violated. The district attorney, individuals, you know, can come after you. You could be responsible for fees or things can be overturned. So just keep this in mind when you're doing this. Any questions about Brown Act stuff? No. I know this is a lot. All right, meetings that work. This is the last section. This is it. We'll get through this. We'll be done.
Under an hour and a half.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. Meetings that don't work. Meetings that convene late. So not only is it important to be here, but to be here on time. Meetings that last too long. Nobody wants to sit here for 4 hours. When there's constant interruption, and that could be between you as members interrupting people speaking, that could be, interrupting people giving public comment. And when nothing really gets done, you're here, you talk, but nothing moves forward. Absenteeism, because if you don't have that quorum, then you can't have that meeting. And even uncomfortable accommodations. You want to be in a room that has proper lighting, that has proper AV, that, is comfortable to be in. All right, what is the role of the chair? It's great because he's not here. But this is good for vice chair when you're filling in.
He'll get this.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna get this too, absolutely. Yeah, he'll be in the makeup training. But so be on time. So let's convene the meeting on time. Stay focused on the agenda, try not to get on too many tangents, keep the meeting moving. So that could be, make sure we're focused on this is the question aspect, okay, discussions later, keeping the, public comments going a little long past time. Can you wrap up your final sentence? Take control of the meeting. That kind of goes in that same, encourage participation from everybody. So if you have some quieter members on the board, make sure that you're maybe specifically asking them if they have anything they'd like to contribute. And then typically the chair gives their opinions and questions last. So make sure you're listening to, what everybody stated before you. And then monitor if there's any follow-up that staff needs to bring back. What are the responsibilities of the members? Arrive on time. We're big on the arrive on time thing. Listen to not only, your fellow commissioners, but to the public comment, to staff. Wait to be recognized by the chair. That helps kind of keep things moving along. Be prepared, make sure you're reading through the staff reports, what's going on, you're ready to discuss. Be respectful of others, both commissioners, staff, the public. Focus your remarks on the decision at hand. Sometimes you can get frustrated from if something went the other way than what you wanted in the previous item. When you get to the next item, try and keep your focus on there and not let what happened previously impact you. Make sure you're contributing. Council appointed you guys to the commission because they want to hear what you guys think. They want to hear your advice. So make sure you're contributing. And then commit and follow through. Parliamentary procedures. So here in the city, we use modified Rosenberg's rules, which is a simplified version of Robert's rules. So it's created, Rosenberg's rules were created for smaller bodies like ours, like our 5-member bodies. They're a bit more practical and logical and user-friendly, which is kind of funny. But it's used by cities, counties, all over the place. And we modified it in the way that we allow for discussion prior to the motion. So usually you'd have an item, you'd have questions, then you'd have a motion and then discussion. We kind of flop that. We allow the discussion to go first in hopes that that motion is ready to go. This is the procedure for each agenda item. The chair will announce the agenda item number and the subject of it. Then they'll ask for the staff presentation. Next will be questions from the commission, then ask for any public comment, then open the discussion for the commission. Then they'll ask for a motion and a second, then a vote, a roll call vote. And then the chair or advisory secretary, or probably Kristen, who's doing the roll call, can announce the result of the vote. Motions and counting votes. And one thing I will add, because you guys will probably get a lot of receive and file. Receive and files don't require a motion or a vote. So if you get those and those come in, because you're not really making any action on it, you're just taking it. So keep that in mind. But the basic motion is just I move to approve such and such. You can also amend a motion, which I have not experienced yet. So hopefully we don't have to do that. You can substitute an entire motion if you want to. You can also move to reconsider an item. So say, you voted on item 2, you're on item 4 now, and you're like, you know what? I feel like I need to change my vote. You can move to reconsider that item, but you can only do that if you were in the majority vote. So if you were in the minority, you can't be like, hey, I want to reconsider that. You're like, no, you already lost. So if you're in the majority vote, you can reconsider it. Here in the 5-member body, 3 yeses is what it needs to pass. A tie means it does not pass. Courtesy and decorum. Make sure only one person is speaking at a time and is recognized by the chair. Discussion and deliberation should be on the item that's being presented and spoken about. You can't see, exception to every rule, you can't interrupt a speaker. You can ask for a point of privilege. So that's like, it's hot. Can we have the air on here? You can do that. You can, a point of order So if the chair goes on to a vote before public comment or before, just chance for questions, discussion, you can ask for a point of order. The chair just goes on and makes a ruling that you guys don't agree with. You can do a point of appeal. You can also call for orders of the day, which is kind of like if you've gone off the tangents and things are kind of going crazy, you can ask for that, which hopefully will bring everybody in. And then if you put a motion out there before it's been seconded, then you can always interrupt to say, I want to withdraw that motion. Once it's been seconded, you got to go forward, you got to vote on it, but before then you can do that. Okay, what's important when we're making decisions? Focus remarks on the issue at hand. Consider and be respectful of all viewpoints. Contribute and ask questions. Be open-minded and be thorough, but brief. And when to recuse yourself, I don't know if this is going to be too relevant for you all. This is really like our design review committee and planning commission when they're dealing with homes and, or businesses. And if they live within a 500-foot radius or whatever, that could impact them. But if you do have anything that could potentially, maybe you own a fireworks business. And so if we're coming to 4th of July and you want to make a recommendation for fireworks, you should probably recuse yourself from that discussion. Any questions? Here's my contact information. Hopefully you all have it because I've talked to you so much already.
Yes, I have a question. Will you be here for all of our meetings?
No, I will not. No.
Will Kathy and Eddie be here for all of our meetings?
Yes, all three
And
of us will be
Kristen.
here.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you
And
let us?
Charlie back there. No.
No, not Charlie. Charlie's like
Yeah.
that.
I'm here too. I'm a person. The three of us.
If we lose sight of any of that, will you rein us back in and tell us we are not following procedure diligently?
We will do our best.
Okay.
We don't know this as well as Christina does, but hopefully three heads, at least Kristen and I. Eddie will hopefully be here with us every time, but it's really the job of Kristen and I to kind of
If in doubt,
keep us
yeah.
in the lane.
The script should really help. And if in doubt, just remember public comment for every item. Everything else you can pretty much get through okay. But the public comment, because someone can slap you for a Brown Act violation if you don't allow that. Everything else is kind of, the parliamentary procedure is there to help you get through it and make sure you're covering everybody and it moves efficiently. But you'll be all right.
Sorry, one more question. When will we be given things, assignments to things to work on, things to discuss, reports given, things that we need to give a recommendation on? Or should we follow like the events that are going to be happening?
Yeah, we'll meet with the chair. The way we develop the agenda
Mhm.
is that the staff liaison, myself, as well as Kristen, kind of comes to those meetings too, and we set the agenda for the upcoming meeting. So whether it's an inquiry into something that might fall into the receive and file, just kind of as a general staff report is one thing. We hope to be bringing action items to you. I know on the horizon, we hope to be bringing a sizable analysis of our fees and charges. So prior to the budget process and we'll kick off in January. So that'll be an action and a recommendation up to council as we move through the budget process for next year. So I hate to give a percentage, but hopefully we will have a lot of things to really ponder in depth and have to move to action. But we will for a while, I think, have a lot of receiving file till we kind of find our groove. And the other thing that I know is on the horizon is the re-grand opening of the San Marino Center. There's going to be a lot to discuss and as well as to really make sure that we're going to open the doors operationally with our best foot forward. And so, everything from the fees, obviously, for what we're going to be charging there, maybe some operating guidelines and some policies related to rentals and things like that. So
Your agenda packet will be kind of, where the meat is. So that's really when that gets published, that's what you'll be going through, looking into. And come ready to discuss that.
Great. It's me. Yes. Do we have any written communication or public writings for distribution?
That's usually something that may have come from you guys. So if
Okay.
a community member has sent something to any of you that you wanted to share, that would be your opportunity.
Do I ask again for a public comment?
On a presentation item, you don't need to. So kind of ceremony and presentation, you don't need to because they're not business items.
Is there anything else that we need to discuss? Shall I adjourn the meeting? Meeting is adjourned at 7:35. Our next meeting is October 10th at 6 p.m. right here at the Barth Room. Thank you.